Hello and welcome again to another interview with DJ Nocturna. If you are watching on my YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm so happy to welcome back on the show the music legend, Chris Connelly, back on the
You're
show.
kind.
Thank you again. Last time you were here was last year,
Yeah,
2021. You
yeah,
released the birthday poems with Monica Queen.
yeah, that's right.
Talked about that, which I learned so much from that.
Yeah, good.
And here I am again. We're gonna talk about another amazing forthcoming album you have, which I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more about it.
Hmm.
You know, I love the Velvet Undergrounds and Nico and just all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I know you've been so busy. I know you've been collaborating with other people too.
I have, but it's sometimes collaboration doesn't take that long in terms of I do a lot of things at my house, and I I do write quickly,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't write at all. Like my writing comes very quickly. If I find I'm laboring on it, it just sort of fizzles out. So yeah, I do collaborate a lot, but it doesn't mean I'm doing it morning, noon, and night.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I would love to, but I'm not.
And I know you've been like performing as well. I know when you did the
Yeah.
birthday poems, you were going out and performing at the clubs. At the
Yeah, I played with that, and then I played a few more solo shows, and then I went out with the Revolting Cocks for a week of shows. Just came home last week.
Yeah, I
And
heard. Yeah, that's
so
great.
yeah, that was exhausting.
Yeah, yeah. So so you have this forthcoming album. You released two singles now,
Yeah,
which I played on the show. The Eulogy to Lenny Bruce, that was the first single that was released.
yeah,
And then the second one just came out October 12th, Ripcord.
yeah,
And this is the next album is you're going to release it on November 11th.
yeah,
It's called the Eulogy to Christa, a tribute to the music legend, of course, the Mystique of Nico.
yeah.
So tell us about this. You know, she's such an amazing person. I mean, she was very talented in so many ways. She was a model, she was an actress, she
Hmm.
was a singer, she was a performer. I know she was, you know, of course, she was also misunderstood by so many, you know. She had a really hard life.
She did.
Um,
And her first love was actually she wanted to be a ballet dancer, but by the time that she realized that she was a little bit too old to start, and that was a really crippling blow for her. But I came to her music well, I came to it through the Velvet Underground, but then I didn't really know about her solo records, and I was introduced to her by Cozy Fanny Tutti from Throbbing Gristle, who I was visiting her, and this must have been about 1980. And
uh,
I was a kid, I was a teenager, and I was talking about the Velvet Underground, and she said, "Well, have you ever heard Nico?" And she played me a couple of tracks from the record Desert Shore. And it was like nothing I'd ever heard before. It still isn't. It doesn't sound like anything.
yeah.
And about a year later, Nico was playing in Edinburgh. And so I went to see her. It was, as far as I knew, it was the first time she'd been in Edinburgh for years and years and years. And she's playing at this small club called the Nightclub. And I went along, and she played a set on her harmonium just by herself. And then she had a band. The band was a band called the Cuban Heels, and they were her backing band. And you'll notice the front cover of my record has a picture of her playing. Well, that's that same gig that I was at.
Oh,
A friend of mine took a photo of it, and
oh, is that the one with the
I found
cigarette?
it online. No, that was from Chicago. The one on the front is her playing, and that's from Edinburgh in 1981.
Oh,
The other one I found online, And it was a Chicago photographer, but I love that photograph, and it was coincidentally from a club in Chicago too. So it's interesting that I live in Chicago, and the photos I managed to get are from Chicago and from Edinburgh. Um, and anyway, I had I had recorded one of her songs for my record Graveyard Sex, and that was maybe three or 4 years ago. And I couldn't put it away. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I thought, well, why don't I do a whole record of her music? And once I'd recorded her songs, I I wanted to keep writing because this fantastic book came out called You're Beautiful and You're Alone
Yeah.
by Jennifer Otter Bickerdicke. It's the biography of Nico, and there's been books about Nico before, but this is the one.
Mm.
And when I read it, and it's a thick book, but I couldn't put it down. Um, there were so many stories in there I knew, but there was so much more about her life that I just didn't know. And I really wanted to do something that was a record that kind of told her story along with her music. She has a great story, and you're right, she's been horribly misunderstood. I mean, when I used to go and see her, people would yell at her and
Yeah.
take the piss or whatever, and it was hard for her. She couldn't really live down the Velvet Underground, and she wanted to push forward with her own music, and she also was cripplingly addicted to drugs as well, which
Mhm.
really slowed her down a lot. But with these huge gaps between her records, she still managed to do it, and right up till almost the end was creating some pretty radical music.
Yeah, she was so, I mean, she had a difficult time, and I really admire you for doing this, for bringing her music back. Because she really did struggle, with even with the Velvet Undergrounds and Lou Reed,
Yeah,
working with him, and when there
yeah,
was friction there. And
yeah.
she was a woman. I mean, the time that she lived was really challenging for a woman to be an artist, to be yeah.
Yeah, especially a woman as beautiful as that, in terms of what people's expectations were of a model like that. I mean, she spoke 7 languages.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's that amazing.
She was really well read, knew a ton about music. I mean, she was a really, she was an intellectual. The Velvet Underground didn't want her, and I mean, in a sense, I don't blame them, because she was kind of forced on them.
Yeah.
Andy Warhol wanted her in the band, and he
Mhm.
just sprung it on them one day, said, "This is Nico, she's joining the band." And I understand
Yeah.
their hesitancy, but that was the way it was. How did that make her feel? She felt horrible.
Yeah.
It was really a awkward and difficult time for her. And there are so many strikes against her. She had a son very early,
Mhm.
whose father, the actor Alain Delon, refused to admit it was his kid. So she was left single mom, and couldn't deal with it. I mean, it was
Yeah.
a horrible situation for her. Um, so yeah, however, she kept pushing, and she kept you know, she wanted to play music, and she kept, when she did finally play her own music, it was so different to everyone else's. I mean, the fact that she released that record, Desert Shore, and before that, the record, The Marble Index. I mean, The Marble Index came out in
Mhm.
'68, and it was like the absolute opposite of the Mamas and Papas or whatever was popular at that
Yeah.
time. It was as far away from hippie music as you could possibly get. I mean, it was a freezing cold, dark record in the summer of, just around the summer
Mhm.
of love.
So, has
So,
this been something that you wanted to do for a long time?
yeah, it was. I mean, I love doing covers of other people's songs. I mean, but the idea of a whole album of her music, I guess I thought of it about 2 years ago. And you know, there comes a time in your life as a creative person. I'm not beholden to anyone. If I want to do a whole album of Nico songs, then why not? You know, I can do that. And it was one of these creative ideas I had where I just thought, do this, really do it well, see it through to the end. Because I'll have great ideas all the time and
Oh yeah, yeah.
they never make it. You know, I mean, I say that's I'll put that in the back burner, but this really got my attention. And especially when Jennifer's book came out, I felt like I had this whole treasure chest of information to write songs with. And it became very interesting for me because I really, since the birthday poems, really realized how fun it was to write from someone else's point of view.
Yeah, and that was a very educational one. I learned so much from that one.
Right. Yeah, I
It
did too.
was beautiful. It's beautiful music as well. You did a great job with that album.
Thank you.
And Monica Queen as well. You know,
Mm,
there's something interesting that you mentioned in your in this particular album. You know, Ripcord.
yeah,
There's something connected to what happened to Nico.
yeah,
Um, you know, 1952,
yeah,
where she was raped.
yes,
And
yeah.
that's can you how does can you explain that a little bit and then the connection? Yeah.
The connection is, well, it's called Ripcord because I don't know. I know it was a soldier who did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I thought perhaps it was an Air Force sergeant. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason I think that is because much later on Lou Reed's Berlin album, he talks about an Air Force sergeant
Mm-hmm.
who it's kind of the subtext is this Air Force sergeant rapes uh the protagonist
That
of
makes
the
sense.
album Berlin,
Mm-hmm.
the female. So I took that to make it my sort of, I decided that's what was going to be. And Ripcord to do with a parachute going up and down. It's kind of a
Oh,
metaphor for sex in a sense. It was a hard song to write because it's horrible, you know. And this is another situation where not many people believed her.
yeah.
However, if you just consider her life and consider how broken she was from such an early age and how possible it was to do things back then like that and walk away from it or not have any documentation. There are stories, yes, it happened, no, it didn't. I'm going with that it did happen and it messed up her life so much. And that was the genesis. It's the first song on the record, right? And I was like, I
Yeah.
can't start the record any other way. I don't want to start with a song about a sexual assault, but it was the explosion and everything else in her life were the ripples that came after it, you know, of course.
I mean, this is really amazing because you would have to actually channel her to actually, do Nico. And then that's
Yeah.
and I really
Well,
like
it's carry on, please. Sorry.
no no I really like I heard the eulogy to Lenny Bruce.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
You did a great job of that. And I
thank
really
you.
can I can really feel the Nico um magical Nico present.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you sing it.
I think that one of the things I've learned is that for me personally, if I'm going to cover a song, if I'm going to do someone else's song, I really have to peel back the layers and inhabit that song, be inside it. I'm not an actor, but I bet you that's how many actors will get into a role. It's not just observing the lines on a page and trying to speak like that person. You've got to try and maybe think about what they were doing or how they were feeling when they sang that song. And so I can't do it any other way now. I've like realized this is my method of acting my way through these songs. And you're right, I have to try and feel. And I'm not Nico, but I feel that presence. I feel it in her music, and I think that I'm lucky enough to be able to grasp that and maybe use it in myself to bring the song back to life again.
So this album there's a lot of tracks. I mean, I can't wait to hear them,
Yeah,
especially the Falconer. I
yeah,
I love that song. Uh,
that's one of the best tracks on it. It's pretty
oh, I can't wait.
amazing. It was really
It's so
fun to do.
dark and just
Yeah.
beautiful.
There was a film that she said um influenced that song, and it's called The Falconer, I believe, and I think it's I want to say it's a Polish film from maybe 1970. So I went on YouTube and had a look at some excerpts, and it kind of looks just like the song. It's so stark and creepy, and it's about a falconer, a guy who
Yeah,
looks at
and I love that. I love
it's a
that
great image. Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
So this is like there's 24 tracks, and
Yeah.
it's called it's called Eulogy to Christa, a tribute to
Hmm.
the music and mystique of Nico.
Hmm.
And this album will be released on November 11th. It's going to be on vinyl as well.
No, it's coming out digitally on November 11th. It's
Oh, okay.
coming out physically on December 2nd.
Oh, okay.
So that's when the CD is coming out. It's not on vinyl. It would have been like 4 records.
Oh, okay. That's great. Yeah.
But it'll be on iTunes and streaming and on Bandcamp and everything like that. And then the physical one. The physical one is coming out in the US and also in the UK on this label called Easy Action. And they're doing a really fantastic gatefold cover and everything like that. It's really beautiful looking.
And then on the UK is Shipwrecked Industries.
On the UK, it's Easy Action. In the
Oh,
US, it's Shipwrecked
oh,
Industries,
okay.
which
All right.
you're looking at it. It's right here in this room.
Okay.
It's my own label.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow, we're looking forward to it. Um, is there anything else that you want to mention about
Um,
this
I
particular?
suppose that when you hear the record, you'll see that there's my voice, there's Nico's voice, and I also use
Oh,
Lou Reed and John Cale's voice as well
oh.
uh, to tell the story.
Are you gonna be are you gonna be releasing another single before the whole album comes out?
Um, Probably around the same time as the album, there'll be a new video and single.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Is there a big shout out to Shameless Promotion PR?
Yes.
Um, I heard another tribute I don't know if the tribute album, XTG. I think
Yeah,
they
they were
released
there. Yeah, they did Desert Shore.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Uh,
not in
which
yeah, I was really I really like that one.
if you listen really carefully, you can hear me on it.
Oh, really?
At the very end of the album, yeah, it has all these people saying I'll meet you on the desert shore.
Oh.
And I'm one of these people.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, well, which song?
It's All That Is My Own.
Oh, oh, I didn't even know that. Oh, I
Yeah.
better go listen.
Have a listen, you'll hear
Okay.
it.
Wow.
But that was a great album, and of course that's Desert Shore, and Cozy from Throbbing Gristle introduced me to Nico, so uh
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
a great connection.
Yeah, is there anything else? So if people want to, you have a website as well, chrisconnelly.com.
Bandcamp is best, or my Facebook, Chris Connelly Facebook is where to go, but Bandcamp is just fine as well. But yes, there is a chrisconnelly.com.
And
And there's an Instagram as well.
and
Uh
then I know you're going to be releasing this album in on November 10 at
yeah,
a live event.
yes, that's right. At the G-Man in Chicago, which is right next door to Cabri Metro. It's a bar, and I'm going to be playing not the whole record, but lots of the record. And some of my friends are going to be joining me to play it with me.
Yeah, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
for all Nico fans, Velvet Underground,
Yes.
I'm sure they'll be very happy with this. And I'll be sure to, tag them, tag all the. I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
great. I mean, it's so wonderful that someone is actually, doing something like this for such a woman that, like like I said, she was just there were so many things that hindered her to do a lot of stuff, but she did it anyway. You
Yeah,
know,
she did.
there was so many obstacles in the way, I guess you could say. I don't know if there are obstacles, but I mean,
Yeah. No, you're right. It was not easy for her. It was not
yeah,
easy at
she
all.
really struggled. I mean, even when she did interviews, I mean, people just criticized her.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame. And I think that I think she needs respect. And I hope that this record I've made is seen as respectful to her art,
Yeah,
and
I think it is.
in that people who are huge fans of hers, or maybe even, her family, if they ever hear it, understand that it's done out of love, very much so. She is adored.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, definitely. All right. All right. Well, thank you so much. I
Thank you
appreciate you
so
coming
much.
on
How
the
lovely to talk
show.
to you
I
again.
know, same here. Congratulations.
Yeah,
And we look forward
thank
to
you.
the release of the album and hearing the other. I can't wait to hear the other songs. They're kind of, you can't hear them until they're released. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Enjoy.
It's like a tease, but that's okay. We'll wait.
Right.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Okay. Bye bye.